We are taking a look at our final chapter. Can you believe we're already there? Chapter 31, from Cap Anderson's perspective. So grab your book. It's on page 202, and let's see how this book ends up. All right, you guys. Chapter 31, Cap Anderson. I was driving the pickup on the dirt lane alongside our orchard when I got arrested again. I was surprised when the siren blurped and the lights started flashing. Rain had told me to stay off the county roads, but that I'd be okay so long as I stuck to Garland property. When I said that to the officer, though, his answer shocked me. "This isn't Garland anymore. The land belongs to Skyline Realty and Development, and you're driving without a license." With that, he loaded me into the back of his squad car. The county sheriff's office was a lot smaller than the police station they'd taken to after I drove Mr. Rodrigo to the hospital in the school bus. It had only one room, and there wasn't even a lockup, just a metal ring they could handcuff people to. They didn't do that to me. They just sat me in a chair and told me to wait while they made phone calls. I stared out the window, feeling pretty low. Rain was going to be mad when she found out about Skyline Realty and Development. Dealing with big companies was one of the things she'd formed Garland to get away from. Who knew what a hassle it was going to be to straighten out this mistake? She'd been so busy lately, away a lot and really quiet when she was home, listening to her favorite songs from the 60s on our record player. "The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan especially seemed to fascinate her. She let it on repeat over and over again. "Bob Dylan was right," I said one night. She looked sad. "I used to think change was a choice, that you could avoid it if you stuck with your convictions. Now," she shook her head, "I just don't know." I'd almost asked her if she heard that they hardly ever made vinyl records anymore, that it was all CDs and MP3s and DAT files. I decided not to. Even more change was probably the last thing she wanted to deal with. It had been a tough couple of weeks since the Halloween dance that wasn't a dance at all. I wondered if I'd ever be happy again. I knew I didn't fit in at C average, but Garland wasn't exactly right for me either. Knowing 1,100 people can spoil you for being alone. I didn't regret my time in real school. I learned a lot. Like, when you have a checking account, your money is separate from all the other money in the bank. And when you write a check, the number you put in that little box gets subtracted from what you have. I learned that you can't fix a china figurine with duct tape because it doesn't look right. And I learned a new vocabulary word: klutz. I learned about lockers and reruns and Gigavolumizer. I almost learned about dances, but I didn't. The most important thing I learned is how many things out there I still needed to learn about. I wanted to, but it didn't seem like I was going to get the chance. On the other side of the window, the sunlit world had never appeared so wide and tempting. A very fancy car with a shiny new paint job screeched up to the curb. I recognized the hood ornament that sort of looked like a peace sign. I knew from trigonometry and tiers that it was called a Mercedes, and it cost a lot of money. I was puzzled to notice a yellow bumper sticker on the back. "War is not healthy for children and other living things." The only place I'd ever seen one like it was on our old pickup truck. A blonde, stylishly dressed woman slipped from behind the wheel, talking on her cell phone. With her free hand, she reached back into the car and pulled out a cane. Rain's cane. I did a double take. The hair was different, the clothes were different, and I'd never seen the car, but this was Rain. She came in and gave me a big hug. I felt the familiar contours of her love beads through her fabric of her designer blouse. She announced, "Not bad for an old grandma, right?" "Rain, what happened? You've changed." She took a deep breath. "Brace yourself, Capricorn. I've got a lot to tell you." "I've got a lot to tell you," I interrupted. "I got arrested again, and the police say some development company owns Garland. What are we going to do?" "Some development company does own Garland. I should know. I sold it to them." I was horrified. "Sold? You always said no one owns the earth, so no one can buy or sell it." She was patient. "That wasn't me, Cap. I was quoting the ancient Hopi Indians. 40 years ago when Garland began, I purchased the land with money I borrowed from my parents. We lived as a true commune, sharing everything, and I was partner, nothing more, nothing less. But the deed was always in my name, so it was always mine to sell. She waved her hand to quell my protest. Calm down. I wouldn't let them build some gated fortress of McMansions for the masters of the universe. There's going to be affordable housing for all income levels, and a park with a flower garden. I thought that was a nice touch. I was distraught. This went against everything I'd been taught to believe in. She was taking the entire Garland value system and junking it. I understood that she had the legal right to sell it. What I didn't understand was, why? I demanded. You lived this way for 40 years. You kept on long after all the other communities and communes shut down and disappeared. Why stop now? Oh, Cap, I thought you knew. I did it for you. Me? My accident was a wake-up call. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, but you'll eventually outlive me. When I'm gone, you'll have to get along in the real world. That just won't happen if we stay at Garland. It would be criminal for me to let you face life with no more street smarts than a newborn baby. Although, she added meaningfully, nobody could say that your first try wasn't a success. How many people get to attend their own memorial service, along with 1,100 of their closest friends? It was as if my entire universe was being twisted inside out. Was this Rain or some stranger who had taken control of her body? Yet, in a way, I was seeing my grandmother more clearly than ever before. I was the one who had been born and raised at Garland. Rain grew up in San Francisco. I may have been completely helpless in the outside world, but she wasn't. Besides, she went on with her eyes twinkling, some incredible things have been happening in the real estate market since the 60s. I just sold Garland for $17 million. I stared at her for a long time. That's a lot, isn't it? She nodded. We're rich, but don't worry, we're not turning our backs on what Garland represents. With this money, we can accomplish more than we could have by living there for 1,000 years. You had the right idea with those student activity fund checks. I see a charitable foundation, the Garland Foundation maybe. The 60s may be over, but the spirit is stronger than ever. I chewed on this. So what happens now? Where are we going to live? I bought us a condo, she replied. It won't be ready for a few days, and I'll be tied up with the details. So I've arranged for you to stay with a family near the school. You'll be attending. I must have looked miserable because she added, you'll like these people, honestly. She took the cell phone from her suit pocket, flipped it open, and handed it to me. Hello? A voice said, hey, freakazoid, I hear you're moving back in. The grin must have split my face. So, the new school is? Rain smiled too. I can think of 1,100 kids who are going to be really happy to have you back. And I already knew all their names. He's a millionaire. And then Rain. And he's headed back to school. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the book. We'll talk about it soon. Bye.